Shredded chicken in a Tex-Mex sauce? Sign me up. We've been making versions of this for years, and it's anything but dry or boring. Let me show you just how flexible this recipe is for weeknight dinners and meal prep. Let's get started. Hi friend, come on in. Shredded chicken is such a versatile meal to have in your back pocket, and prepping extra ahead of time can make meal planning during the week faster while being very versatile. I want to get a nice golden crust on the outside of my chicken. This will help with flavor as well as locking in some of those juices to help keep the meat a little more tender. For this chicken, I want to get started with a little fat in my pan. Today I am using lard, but feel free to use any fat that can handle high temperatures. I don't need much because the chicken will release some fat and juices, but I want some for that initial dryness. I am working with chicken breast, which can have a dry texture when overcooked, so I will be watching the internal temperature very closely on my chicken to make sure it doesn't overcook. Boneless chicken thighs are a great option that are harder to overcook due to their higher fat content. This comes down to personal preference and what you are able to get at the grocery store. Only put a few pieces of meat in the pan to prevent overcrowding. Overcrowding can prevent browning of the chicken, and we definitely want the browning effect for the flavor boost. I added a light seasoning of salt and pepper to one side of the chicken before placing it in the pan. This way I could make sure to season both sides of the chicken. If you have a splatter guard, this is a great time to use one. Less mess to clean up afterwards. I tried to get some browning on all sides before pulling out the chicken. The chicken will not be cooked at this point. I have some nice crust on the bottom of the pan that contains a lot of good flavor. I want to get my onions in the pan and give them a pinch of salt. The salt will help draw out some of the moisture, and that moisture will help pick up some of the fond off the bottom of the pan. I felt like my pan was getting a little dry, so I added another teaspoon or two of fat to help the onions cook. If you feel like your pan has enough fat, don't worry about this. I want my onions to soften and pick up a little browning. My onions are looking done. The garlic and spices can go in now. 1 teaspoon of cumin and 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, but watch them closely so they don't burn. Give it 30 seconds or so. Now let's build the sauce with 8 ounces of tomato sauce, a 1/4 cup of water, and 1 tablespoon of chipotle flavored better than bouillon base. If I didn't have this, I would have used 1 to 2 minced chipotles in adobo sauce along with a chicken bouillon base. I added in a little salt and pepper to get the seasoning started. I'm being mindful of the salt because bouillon bases can be salty. I will adjust the salt later. Use the sauce to lift up any remaining stuck bits as well as any spices off the bottom of the pan. The chicken gets nestled back into the sauce to finish cooking. Simmer this, turning the chicken at least once to make sure both sides get covered in sauce and to ensure even cooking. I partially covered the pan. This prevents excess evaporation and helps with excess splatter. For chicken breasts, the safe internal temperature I am looking for is 160 Fahrenheit or 74 Celsius. Thighs are cooked at the same temperature, but some people cook to a higher temperature for the extra flavor and tenderness the higher temperature brings. So maybe aim for 175 Fahrenheit or 80 Celsius all the way up to 195 Fahrenheit or 90 Celsius. As this simmers, I have been pulling out the chicken that is cooked and allowing them to sit until the remaining chicken is done. To shred, I personally just use tongs and a fork, but getting in there with gloved hands is faster. A hand mixer or stand mixer with paddles will also make short work of these, but be careful not to overshred. I left some rather large chunks in my shreds to give a variety of textures. This meat was going to be used for both tacos and burritos. The shredded chicken goes back into the sauce, coating it well. If you feel your sauce is too runny, simmer it down a little before adding the chicken. Heat the chicken through for a few more minutes before serving. I served this on my homemade tortillas. I freeze the dough in balls so they're quick to thaw and roll for fresh tortillas anytime. This is the kind of meal that makes tacos, burrito bowls, and quesadillas a breeze and way better than takeout. Also try this in a green salad topped with my homemade croutons for a lovely twist. Saucy, flavorful, and perfect for easy dinners all week. Or freeze it for meal prepping. Let me know if you make it. I have the tortilla video linked here, and thanks for hanging out with me.